Yo, what's going on, boys? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to another Steam 2 video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about a build for the Titan. It's been a while since we've done a build for the Titan, and today's build is going to be all about getting supers, spamming abilities, and also applying a bunch of weaken, and also getting a bunch of overshields. So if that sounds like something that you're looking for, then this is going to be the perfect build for you. Now, before we get into it, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel in case you guys haven't already, since it helps this video be seen by more people. Now, the main two things that you're gonna need for this build are gonna be the Fang power drums, the exotic gauntlets, and also a void exotic. We are just gonna leave it at that for now, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. And first, let's start with an exotic piece of armor. Now, the Doom Fangs, I'm gonna do a couple of different things, but the main three that you want to keep in mind is that whenever you get melee kills, you're gonna get more super energy. And the super energy that you get is actually very noticeable. You see immediately in your super bar that jump whenever you get a melee kill. So we're gonna try to get as many melee kills as we can, so we can get our super faster. Also, whenever we get some void kills, it's also gonna give us a boost to void damage. So our void weapons are just gonna be doing some more damage, and essentially we're always gonna be having that extra damage boost. Whether we get a kill with an ability or with a weapon, we're always going to be doing some more void damage on our weapons. And the last thing this exotic does is that it extends our super whenever we get some kills with our shield throw. If you see a group of enemies, you want to throw your shield in there, it's going to bounce a bunch of times and give you a bit of super back. It's not going to be a huge amount, but it definitely extends your super and it lets you use it a lot more often. And if there's not any big enemies and you're just trying to clear some mats, then you can stay on your super for a pretty long amount of time, as long as you just keep hitting those shield throws. So these gauntlets are going to do a bunch of different things just to make our build better, but the main one that you want to focus on is definitely just getting our super back faster by getting melee kills. Now, for the exotic weapon that you want to use, there's not really one specific one that you have to go with. As long as it's a void exotic weapon, it is going to be pretty good. I recommend that you go with a primary one, so like something like the Lemon Arc, the Collective Obligation, or the Graviton Lance. The Graviton Lance, I think, is probably like the best choice, especially in like some of the higher end content, because it's just such a good weapon already that just slapping the damage boost on this weapon just makes it so much better. And it's so easy to keep that damage buff that you always just constantly have it, and it's gonna make any weapon that you decide to go with just much better. Now, moving on to the subclass, we are going to be on pure sentinel this time around, since we can't really run the sentinel shield with prismatic, unfortunately. For our abilities, we are going to be on the Rally Barricade, so we can spam it a little more since it has shorter cooldown. And for our abilities, we are going to be on Shield Bash, and also the Suppressor Grenade. Now, Shield Bash is going to mean so we can get some easier melee kills, and so we can also get multiple melee kills if there's a lot of enemies next to each other. But it just makes it a little bit easier, especially against some of those tankier enemies. The Shield Bash just does much more damage than a normal melee would. And the Suppressor Grenade is just a good grenade. It does some pretty good damage, it stuns champions, and whenever we kill something with it, it guarantees that we get a Void Breach. And those are gonna be kind of important to build, so that's definitely gonna help. Now, for the aspects, we're gonna have Control Demolition. This is gonna give us a little bit more ad clear and also some healing. And for the other one, we're Rain Bastion, which means that we get an overshield every time that we put down a barrier. And since we kind of want to spam that, this is gonna give us an easy way to just get a bunch of overshields. Now, moving on to the fragments, the first one we have is the Echo Harvest. Whenever we defeat some weakened targets, we make an overpower and also a void breach. This is like the perfect fragment for this build. The orbs are going to help us get our abilities back faster, as well as our super, and the void breach is going to let us weaken even more targets, meaning that we can proc the Echo Harvest again. After that, we're going to have the Echo Vigilance. If we defeat any targets while our shields are depleted, we gain a temporary void overshield. This is just another way to keep safe, and a way to get some overshields. Overshields got buffed recently, so that's why we're kind of like spamming them, since they give you a lot of damage resistance now and make you be pretty safe. Next is the Echo Reprisal. This is going to give us some extra super energy whenever we get some final blows when we're surrounded. Just gives us another way of getting some extra super energy, so again, we can spam our super. And the final fragment is going to be the Echo Starvation. Whenever we pick up a Void Breach or an Overpower, which both we can make very easily, we gain some Devour. Devour will get us our grenades back faster, as well as give us a bit of survivability, because every time that we get a kill, we get some health back. I'm sure you guys already know that Devour is great, so it just kind of adds a little more to the build. Now for the other weapons you have around this build, I would recommend some grenade launchers. The Lost Signal is really good for your kinetic slot, and then for your energy slot, you could go with anything, but I would definitely recommend the Edge Transit, since it's also void, so it takes advantage of you being able to like get all that extra void damage. So if you get some kills with your other weapon, that will also transfer the damage buff to your heavy, meaning that your heavy is going to be doing some more damage. Now for the artifact, we're going to have Supernova. This is a big one, and the way that we're essentially going to keep weakening things just over and over again with those void breaches. Every time that we pick up a void breach, our next source of like void damage is going to be doing a weakening pulse. And this pretty much counts everything, our weapons, our abilities. So there's going to be a lot of ways that we can actually proc this, but most of the time we're going to do it with our weapon. Surf Core is also going to be really good. Whenever we pick up the void breaches, it will also give us melee energy, meaning that we can get our melee back faster, get some melee kills, and get our super faster. Of course, we always have concussive reload, so we can apply some debuffs, as well as the other ones, Overload Grenade Launcher, and Rapid Impacts as well. Authorized mods melee is definitely something you want to have. We're going to have a lot of melee mods, so this just makes it a little bit easier to actually be able to put all of them on. We also have Curative Orbs as well as the Thick of It, so we can get some armor charge for free just by being surrounded, and make some more orbs of power whenever we break some shields. And the last two mods that I want to bring your attention to are going to be Total Carnage, to get some damage assistance whenever we do some finishers, and also Power from Pain. Now this is the one that you want to boost, since the second effect is really what we're interested in. Whenever we rapidly defeat weakened targets, it's going to spawn a Void Breach, and if you remember, the Void Breach is going to let us weaken more targets, which then spawns more Void Breaches. So we can just constantly weaken and spawn more Void Breaches. It's just a cycle that continues just over and over again. And throughout that, we're getting a bunch of melee energy, and also just weakening a bunch of targets. So you definitely want to boost this one. It's pretty much like the only one that's really worth boosting for this build. And these are probably like the most important mods that you want to have on. And lastly, let's take a look at the mods that we're running for our armor, and what's gonna help us get the melee back faster, as well as get a bit of extra super energy. So first of all, we're gonna have Harmonic Siphon, so we can make some more Smart Void weapons. And we also are gonna have two hands-on mods, so we can get a bit of extra super energy from those melee kills. For the gauntlets, we are running Melee Kickstart, Fun to Bigger, as well as Impact Induction. This is gonna help us get our grenade back faster whenever we do some damage with our melee. And then both of these are going to be so we can spam our melees a little more often. Melee Kickstart just straight up just gives us some melee energy after using our charges. And Fun to Bigger is going to increase our strength, so our melee is always just recharging faster. And you might be thinking, are we going to have enough armor charge to be able to afford two mods? And yes, we are going to be able to, especially with the next mod that we're running on our chest piece. And let's move on to that. We have first the resistances as well as charge up. Now charge up is going to increase the amount of armor charge that we can carry by 1. So instead of 3 being our mats, it's actually 4. So we're going to use 3 whenever we use Melee Kickstart, and that will still leave 1 for our Fun to Bigger. For boots, we're going to be running things that just basically reduce our cooldowns and also heal us. We have Invigoration, Absolution, as well as Recuperation. And since we're going to be making lots of orbs, or we should be making lots of orbs, this is also going to help us with that. And lastly, for our class item, we're going to have 2 outreach mods as well as a Reaper. So this is just to help us get our melee back even faster. Reaper is going to allow us to make some more orbs, and whenever we use our class ability, it just reduces the cooldown of our melee. That's it with outreach. So overall, we're just trying to get that melee back as fast as possible, so we can go in, get some kills, get our super, and just spam supers as much as we can. And you might be thinking, why are we doing all of this? Well, that's because not only I like spamming supers, but also because the sentinels still glitch. Do whatever you want with that information. But with that, that's actually going to be the end of the build. That's pretty much everything that you need to make this build work. It's not really a super complicated build. It really is just going in there, getting some melee kills, and spamming supers. Everything else is just so the build can have something to do outside of that, like the extra damage and the weakens, the survivability. All of that just basically makes it that it's easier for you to get those melee kills. Like always, there's gonna be a dim link in the description below and also in the comments in case you guys want to give this build a try. I really hope you guys do, because it is actually pretty fun, especially in some of the just normal activities. This is not like a super high end game build, but I don't think every build has to be. Some of them are just fun, and this one definitely leads a little more towards the fun build. This is definitely a very fun build that you can take into most activities and have a pretty good time. Now, if you're thinking of taking this into some of the higher end content like the GMs, you gotta play a little bit safer, because usually just running straight at enemies with your melee, not the greatest idea, unless you have the Peregrine Greaves. But as long as you play it smart, you should be able to still take advantage of all that super regen, and also, for sure, all those weekends, creating all those void breaches, and making all those orbs that you can make with this build. But thank you all for stopping by, thank you all for watching. Remember, you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel in case you guys haven't already, all of that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everyone, have a good rest of your day, peace.